Chapter number 2, we'll be covering Reconnaissance. And just a disclaimer again, a course on network security and penetration testing. Whatever we are doing is solely for academic purposes. Use it for the academic and testing purposes. Otherwise, you are solely responsible for your own actions. Chapter number 2 talks about reconnaissance. Reconnaissance comes from a military term where you are trying to know the basic information about your enemy, the whereabouts of it, where are they located, what are the potential targets, and things like that. When we talk about network security and penetration testing, it's not like we are teaching you how to hack, we are teaching you how to protect yourself from those guys. All information, what they'll be thinking about your organization, whatever they want to do in their organization, or they want to launch an attack against your organization, you must know all the techniques and tools in order to protect your own organization rather than attacking anyone else. If you're not aware of the tools and the techniques that are used by these guys, you'll not be able to protect yourself. So that's why it's very important to know what they do, how they collect the information, how important is that information, what information you must be hiding, and what information must be clearly visible and available to the outside world. There is some information which would be available, you won't have any control on it, but there is a lot of information that you can control. When we'll come towards the domain registration and things, I'll show you that how can we protect it using a tool called Whois. So chapter number 2, objectives are identify various techniques for performing reconnaissance. If we try to recall what we covered in our previous lecture is, reconnaissance falls into two major categories, active reconnaissance and passive reconnaissance. Now they are further dividing it into certain categories because there is not only one way to gather the information. We covered about dumpster diving, then war driving, and then collecting all that information from the social media and so on. Distinguish and discuss the methods used in social engineering. That's also a kind of reconnaissance because on social media, most of us live on social media. We post all the information related to us, our family, our likes, dislikes, you are having a dinner, you are enjoying a party, you are on a tour. You keep on giving all unnecessary information on the internet. And if someone is following you, they can trace all that related information from those social handles and they can locate you, or rather they can target your organization in your absence, especially if you are related to the field of information technology. Discuss the importance of dumpster diving in reconnaissance. Dumpster diving is the important piece of information or the documents that you trash on daily basis. You went to an ATM, you took out the cash from ATM, and the receipt that you'll get from the machine, you don't look at it, you just throw it away in the garbage without destroying it properly. Someone else would come, he'll collect that piece of paper, they'll get some basic information about your account, how much money you withdrew, date of the transaction, and some basic details from that. Same goes for the offices. Whenever we are working in an organization, the documents that we have, there should be a proper procedure to properly shred all those documents and then destroy them. Because if those documents are collected by any individual, they can use it, they can build information on that. So much so that all the important documents from the students as well, their exams, quizzes, attendance, assignments, each of those details are usually collected and properly shredded before we dump them in the garbage cans, just to make sure that the information of the students is not going out of the institution. Identify a variety of phases of internet footprinting. What things you leave behind when you are browsing an internet. Now you know there are cookies on computers, and cookies track your likes, dislikes, and interests and the demographics of an individual. Don't be amazed that after browsing a thing on eBay or Amazon.com, you start seeing all those ads on Facebook as well, because they are targeting the ads based on your footprinting. Whatever you did on the internet is kept somewhere. Same information goes like whatever information was stored on the computer and you sold it out to an individual, all the data which was even deleted, even if you formatted the computer, can be recovered. Not only the data, he can recover complete partitions with full information. Now the health of the data is questionable, that at which condition it would be recovered, but it is recoverable. There are military standards for that, that if you are formatting it in a certain level, it won't be recoverable. The best way to deal with magnetic data or any data which is there on the disks is literally destroy the medium, destroy the disks. Third option is there are electromagnetic waves that we use. We put it in a container, it's in an isolated place, the hard disk would be inside, and it would fire beams of X-rays and gamma rays on it, and it would destroy the complete structure of the clusters and cylinders on a hard drive. So in that way it won't be readable, but the best and the cheapest way is destroy it. You might have seen in some organizations even here that they roll out all the hard drives on the road, and you'll see that the construction workers and all the rollers will be going on over to the hard drives just to destroy them so that they are not even usable anywhere else. Now, reconnaissance, an act of locating targets and developing the methods necessary to attack those targets successfully. Now, it's very important to know act of locating targets and developing the methods necessary to attack. You would choose your tools based on the kind of technologies they are using in their organization. Now, the kind of an attack that you would have on a server which is openly available would be different than which is behind a firewall or on Cloudflare. Cloudflare is a complex technology itself which saves you from DDoS attacks and other things. So of course you know that if a server is protected by Cloudflare, it means that you'll face some problems while penetrating in that kind of an infrastructure. May be extremely flexible and creative. So depends what tools you are using and how it's making your life easy when you are penetrating in an organization. Reconnaissance is not by definition illegal because you're just collecting the information. No one stops you from collecting the information. Information could be collected by any means. Maybe a contractor is visiting your organization. Maybe salespersons are coming in. Maybe someone else comes in which is properly suited up, looking like a person from a cellular company, and they are trying to provide you certain services. You won't even know that whether this person is here to collect certain information or he's there for collecting the information about your data and the people in the organization. What it takes to be a professional, especially the support services which are provided by cellular companies like Saudi Telecom. If a person is coming in that outfit having a cap of Saudi Telecom, you won't even judge that maybe he's not from that company. Sometimes they even have the ID cards. I receive calls 4 to 5 in a semester where someone would call me and would say that I am calling from Oracle or I am calling from Microsoft, and we have detected that your systems are outdated and we are here to provide you some help so that your systems are secure. So if you would please provide me the information about your current servers, how many databases you have, how many servers you have, and all that information. First of all, you should never provide this kind of information over telephone. And always my response is that send me an email on my official email account with your company profile so that I can verify your identity, and then we'll think if we want to disclose that information to you or not. And none of them sent me an email on my official email address. So all of them are just trying to get basic information about your organization, the kind of databases you have, because on telephone you cannot verify the identity of the person who's calling you. Sometimes they are using some tools with the help of which it would appear like he's calling from a bank, though he's calling from a private number. But the name of the bank would be appearing on your mobile phone. That's why they say never provide your PIN number, your credit card number, your debit card number, or any username and password on the telephone, because you never know who's the other person and what kind of information they are trying to collect from there. Many reconnaissance techniques are completely legal because they are meant to collect some information about the data. Some legal reconnaissance, large legal activities are looking up the information about the company available on the internet. You can find the information about a company on the internet, their rating. For example, there is a new website and you want to read the reviews of that website before you make a transaction on that website. They just started a business and they are selling some information, they are selling some tools, or they are selling some gadgets online. So you're not sure about that whether it's a real company or they are just trying to grab the credit card details of the users. So you can find that information about that company on the internet. There are different tools to do that. Reviewers are there, then feedback is there, rating is there, and collecting all that information is quite normal. Calling with a problem requiring customer service assistance. No issues in that. You can call a company, Microsoft or Google, if you are having an issue. You know where you're calling and you know their details. They'll verify certain things. They won't ask you for a username and password, but they have a number of other tools with the help of which they can verify your identity. Interviewing a member of the staff for school project. Just trying to know the basic details about that candidate. What do you do? What projects you have completed? You're working with the previous company for how many years? What's your scope of work? Duty hours? The tools you are expert in? Some basic information about an individual. Physical entry of a facility, including attending a tour of the facility. You are inside Aramco, or you are inside Walmart or Target, and you are just looking around. You can even see their Wi-Fi network. You know that there is some information which is available over there, but you are looking around. No harm in that because you are not penetrating. Making friends with somebody who works there or used to work over there. Perfectly legal, no issues in that. Some questionable reconnaissance are activities which are a bit questionable, that you must be doing that or not. That raises a flag that whether you must be asking these things or not. Performing a passive port scan. Even if you are in any organization, you don't have any right to conduct any kind of scan on their Wi-Fi network or on their wired network. It's not like I'm just checking it. There is nothing like checking. Why would you conduct a scan on a network when you don't have an agenda? It doesn't make any difference. You would scan only to see or to find the loopholes in that network. Sometimes those loopholes are identified on the networking level, sometimes on the switch level, where you have a big building and everyone is connected to a switch. Now, if they are not filtering the traffic based on an apartment, the person in one apartment would be able to get the details of the devices connected on that switch of the other apartments. And from there it starts. You don't know who's he, where he's sitting, and how he's scanning. Reading the names on the mail sitting on the mail cart. You might have seen that you have some documents lying on your table and a person comes in and without your permission they start reading whatever is there on the table. First of all, it's unethical. Second thing is, you must not do it. Or it's a mistake on your side as well, because if it's a confidential document or anything which is not related to the public, don't let them be on the table unattended. Scanning the document lying loose on a desk. Now, since we all have these latest gadgets in our pockets, everyone wants to share something on a social media where they want to be the first one to break that news. You are in an office and you are visiting your manager and there is a new policy coming, and the manager wasn't in the office or he just went out for a call or something, and you saw the document. The first thing you would do is you'll take a picture and share it on the social media. People do it. And they end up, most of them, losing their jobs, because that information would be leaked out and would be found in one way or the other, that who shared the information and whether it was meant to be shared or not. Again, unethical. Picking up trash in the parking lot. It could be your mistake. It is questionable, but you cannot stop. Maybe a person would say that it's part of my social responsibility. I'm just cleaning the building. But you never know if they are collecting that information or they are doing it with a clear intent. Now, picking up a copy of the employee newsletter. Most of the cases it's fine, because the newsletters are published by the organizations themselves rather than an individual. Asking for a phone list, business card, or product specs. Sales representatives, whenever they will be visiting your organization, you'll say that, thank you very much, I'm not interested in the product. They would say, you have a sister company. So if you can provide me their contact list or the name of the person to whom I must contact. So they are trying to get more information about your organization or the other organization. You must not provide even the mobile number of a friend if he is not on the desk without asking the person that certain XYZ is asking for your number. Shall I share or not? Your mobile number is your property, unless and until that mobile and the mobile number is provided by the organization. Looking through a garbage can. Now, who would do that? You're looking into a garbage can because you are looking for something important. And then war driving. What is a war driving? We covered it in the previous course when we were talking about computer forensics and investigation. Complete lectures of that course are available on the channel as well. So if you didn't take that course, computer forensics and investigation, you can check it. War driving is, you have a mobile phone or a laptop and you are driving by a housing society and you are trying to capture all the open wireless networks. That's war driving. You're just collecting the information. How many Wi-Fi networks are there, how many are open, how many are closed. So next time, if this person wants to launch an attack, what they would do is, they would use those open Wi-Fi networks. Now there is a way you can share your username and password, as we discussed it in the previous class last semester, that you can open some guest networks on your Wi-Fi network. You must not share the username and password of the Wi-Fi network that you are using at home or your family is using at home. You can create a separate guest account and share those credentials with the guests. The reason is that if someone like that is there, they'll be able to collect the information of all the other gadgets which are connected to your network. Now, some illegal reconnaissance continue that developing a front company for the purpose of robbing or defrauding. Similar company with a similar name claiming that they are doing the same business or it's a sister company. You never know. Souk.com stopped its operations because it's been taken over by Amazon.com, right? Someone can open a new website called souk-sa.com with the same logo and everything. Now, you don't know if they started operating again or it's a sister company. Now, stealing the garbage. You place the papers outside the office so that they'll be shredded and someone would come and would take all those documents. Entering a home or office to look for information. Now, that's theft. Dropping a keylogger or leaving a sniffer. What is a keylogger? A keylogger is a small application which would be installed on the computer, and mostly it's not even detected by the antivirus programs. And what it would do is that it would keep a log of all the keystrokes which are pressed on the keyboard. Any key which is pressed on the keyboard would be logged. They are so smart that if you open, for example, Microsoft Internet Explorer, it would create an entry, Internet Explorer open. Then you will go to gmail.com. It would have web address, gmail.com. Then you'll click on sign in. It would say click on sign on. And then if you'll enter the username and password, it would be clear that now you are entering username and password. Same goes for other applications. Once that's done, some of the keyloggers that I have seen and identified installed on the computers on the network, they were connected to the internet, of course all those computers, and daily logs of those keyloggers were sent to a third party, where on daily basis they were collecting the information of all the key entries which was collected on those computers. Sometimes parents do it on the computer of their kids to monitor their activities, what they are doing. Because nowadays if parents ask for a username and password, well, that's debatable that whether they must ask or not. But kids don't provide all that information. They don't know sometimes if the kid is operating a Facebook in a hidden mode. I have seen kids, they are using it in an incognito mode, and once they close it, everything's gone. But keyloggers are still collecting that information. Or leaving a sniffer on the computer, an application which would be collecting the information on the network. Now, social engineering is where you use social media tools or other things to collect information about the users and individuals. Social engineering works for the most part because people are trusting and helpful. You just met a person on Facebook or Instagram, and you're talking to him for a couple of weeks or days, and you started sharing information with him. What do you do? Where is your family? What are your likes? What are your dislikes? And most of the time, your password is compromised by sharing this basic information with those guys. Mostly, your password would be name of your pet because you love him or her. So the name that you keep for the pet is usually is usually the password. Or the car, if you are in love with cars, or if you like a certain product, fashion. Most of the people keep these kind of passwords. The weakest link in any security scheme is the user. You compromise your own security yourself by sharing way too much information about where you're planning to go, what are your plans for next year, what you will be doing today, and all that information. The success or failure of a social engineering depends on the ability of the hacker to manipulate human psychology. Really, you are going to the airport? I'll drop you off just to make sure that you are gone, so that they'll perform the operations. Otherwise, if you'll tell him that I'm going on such and such date, he don't know whether if you actually flew or not. So they extend the services or help or a helping hand to you just to make sure that you are there and you're not coming back, so that they can do their things. Contracts and physical workstations. Now, impersonation could be at an instance level, impersonating someone, trying to get the information from the other person by just obliging them. Okay, so how's your parents doing? How's their health? Do you want me to take them to the hospital? Where they are going? All those extra favors which could give you some more detail about a person and their family. Could be on a role or functional level, dressing like a service person. He would try to pose as if he is coming from a company, though he is not from a company. A person is coming or trying to enter a building with you. He is not an employee of that company, but there are lots of contractors coming to that company to perform different operations. Now that person would be there, and the person would show the card just to have access to the building. Before you, that person would be trying his card, and he'll be frustrated, would be saying, I cannot enter, I don't know why my card is not working. You being a very helpful person, you say, it's okay, okay, you are coming from XYZ company, you'll show your card and he'll enter with you in the same restricted area. Happens. I forgot my key at home today. If you can help me out. Most of the times you don't even need to ask him. People would say, oh, I have a key, don't worry, I'll let you in. And they enter. Next is bribery. Hackers can pit a person's greed and ignorance. There are different ways to do that. One is through phishing. The other one is if a person is not happy with the organization, you offer them money. That if you'll provide me this information, and if you'll keep on providing me this information on monthly basis, I'll be paying you this much. That's upfront. The second way is that you claim to be calling from an auditing company in accounts, for example, and you claim that I'm calling from XYZ auditing company. Now, auditing firms, what they do is, at the end of the month, they make sure that your all accounts and records are up to the mark and there is no anomalies in it, right? Now, what they would do is, they'll call from a company that I found out that in the past 3 months, you have been using the rogue practices, and because of that, your organization would end up losing this much amount in 6 months. So you need to fix it. If you want me, we can fix it. Otherwise, we'll have to inform your higher management. Now that person would be afraid that now it would go to the higher management, I might lose my job. And then he'll contact him himself that, okay, fix it for me. They'll make a drama that I cannot do it and you'll have to pay, and then it comes to bribery. That they end up paying and grabbing a lot of money from the persons and trying to get information. Now, blackmail is a common tactic to keep a target or employee fruitful. Deception, achieving access to the information by joining the company as an employee or a consultant. Conformity, hacker convinces the victim that they have a lot of common and they can share the same values. Hacker becomes the victim's good friend. How? A hacker could be your best friend. It's like you're stuck. Your firewall is compromised, and that's the hacker who compromised your firewall. Now your information is at stake. Now this friend is a very close friend of yours because he was getting all that information from you about your organization, and he knows how your organization was performing, and he penetrated. Now if you're in trouble, you'll say that, could you save me because you are from the same information security division in your organization. I would appreciate if you could help me. He said, okay, no problem. So without informing the higher management, you took help from another person who's an outsider, and since now he is helping you, you'll give the username and passwords to him to help you out in your organization. Now, you don't need to steal the username and passwords. This person has given it to you himself. And then they'll create more problems, ask for money, and it goes on from there. Next is reverse social engineering. Hacker projects herself as an authority vested with the power to solve the people's problems. That I am calling from Microsoft or Oracle, and I'm here to help you out. You don't know who is he. Physical intrusion, foremost traditional technique of social engineering, requires learning the schedules of the organization. What are your duty hours? When you are performing, when you are there, and when you are not there. Knowing the floor plan of the building, know where is your data center. What are the critical departments? Where are your servers hosted? What things can be compromised? Baseline the security procedures. Whether you have surveillance cameras, whether you have security guards on premises, what are their duty hours? If the surveillance cameras are operational during night or not. If they are recording, is there a night vision installed on them? So that if these things are not working well or up to the mark, they can exploit the weaknesses of the system. Hacker can develop fake identification cards, not a big deal. Last step to acquire useful and valuable information. Avoiding suspicion, never collect all the required information from a single user or source. Don't be open that I am there to collect some information. Be anonymous. Collect from different sources, using different email accounts to collect the information, or different friends collectively trying to target an organization and trying to get some information from there. Never hold a position after the value of the position has ended. They never remove that information from the records. The more valuable the information is, the more likely hackers are working with a team. When physical intrusion is not possible, hackers use communication media. They have different ways to communicate with you. They'll be talking over phone, they'll be sending emails, they'll be coming in person, they'll be hiding their identity, they'll be doing it actively or passively. So that's it for today. We'll be continuing in our next lecture that what are the next tools that we'll be interested in.